I'll first look at the outsiders, and then I'll tell you about the insiders. And I have problems with both, so I'll critique both. But first, the outsiders. If you look at a point of view that Europeans had about India and Indian civilization, you cannot lump all of them as one group. The German Indologists were developing ideas of India which would fit into a sense of German nationalism, German superiority. They were really trying to understand the past of Germans by looking at Sanskrit texts and calling it like their past. The British had a different reason. The British were studying us because they were running the empire, and they wanted to understand who are these people, how do we rule them better, how do we negotiate, who hates whom, who can be made to fight whom, who I can buy out. So they had a certain management control kind of an agenda. French had a different reason. The French Indologists, they were interested in their past as a Renaissance. They were interested in the relationship between Sanskrit and Latin because that was their past. And believe it or not, they were Russian Indologists in the 1800s, important Russian Indologists, Italian Indologists. Now they brought different nuances because they all brought their own background into this. And there were Americans, people like Emerson and Thoreau, and then the whole American Orientalist societies which started in Harvard. They called it Orientalism in those days, and after World War II, it's called South Asian Studies, which is sort of the reincarnation of Indology, if you will. The British Empire transformed into the American Empire, so it migrated across the Atlantic, and a new term was created. In the 50s, there were some meetings with CIA, Ford Foundation, State Department, saying that now that the World War is over and the British Empire is has collapsed, so how do we project the Western civilization superiority? All this is well documented, and so area studies were started to look at other areas of the world, the third world. So there's South Asia, there was East Asia, there was all these kind of areas started to study them. Ford Foundation came into this business in a big way, and the concept of a South Asia was created. Previously it used to be called Indian subcontinent. The concept of South Asia was created by the Americans actually. And so there's a whole history of all these things, and the domination of what is now called South Asian studies or Indology in the US, or what I call American Orientalism, all these origins have been from the point of view of the West. It is not that people in India started these studies. People in India are sort of outsourcing their services. They are available, sometimes doing coolie work, very menial work, of providing them what this slok means and what's the translation of that, and go get me a scan of this particular manuscript, doing the kind of basic dirty work of many of them. But putting it together into a thesis, into a theory, into coming up with an overall paradigm of the world and how you fit in and who you are, is controlled from the United States, largely, like previously it used to be from Europe. So this is a serious issue. And I don't want you to think of me as, right wing, left wing. I fly on both wings. I'm happy. I don't want to mutilate one wing or the other. I just want to wake up the Indians that this is an area where we are not paying enough attention. We're too busy becoming individually successful, and we are not paying enough attention. Now, I will tell you that China studies is controlled by China. Japan studies is controlled by Japan. Russia studies by Russia. Arab studies by the Arabs. Yeah? Islamic studies, a huge amount of Islamic institutions and their funding controls the insider view. Now, there is the outsider view. You will certainly get the Donald Trump view of Islam. But there will be, for every one voice that comes out, tens of voices on the other side who are well in control, at least in terms of spreading their knowledge about themselves to their own people. So you see, the difference is that it's not because we have outsiders saying all these things. Everybody is saying everything about other people. But in our case, that we do not have enough high quality, high volume, high output, in control insiders